Right, here I am with an old mate, Yilmaz Mustafa, better known as Maz to his mates. How are you, Maz?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I'm all good, all good. Surviving.
Good, good. Surviving is good. Well, listen, thank you for coming on to Sloth Box. I saw you last week at the Muhammad Ali rematch. What is it? Musical stroke extravaganza in Canada. What were absolutely fantastic. But it was great to hook up with you and some of your colleagues, which we'll probably touch upon later on. But
Yeah,
when I was there chatting to you, you said, I've got a great story, and I remember touching upon your story before, and I thought, you know what, it's time that we let the public know about you, where you come from, and where you're up to now. So I'm going to go straight into it. I believe you started boxing at the age of 8 years old. How did that come
yeah.
about?
Well, basically, it was my dad. My dad, he back in the day used to box alongside Curtin and Lang. Like they were like practically neighbours, and he used to go to the gym, and he had like Dennis Andrews and everyone else in there with him, and literally, I used to stay up all the time. He used to always teach me from a youngster, put me on the pads and stuff like that. And just watching boxing, we used to always stay up way past my bedtime watching all the Mike Tysons and stuff like that. But where it became official, he met Mick Carney from Fitzroy Lodge, and they got chatting. And yeah, basically it started from there. My dad, Mick Carney, was like, okay, bring me down to Fitzroy, and that's where it started. And ever
Amazing. I
since.
have to ask, did you ever get to meet Dennis Andrews or Kirkland Lang?
I personally didn't. Unfortunately, it would have been great, but I've heard, I've heard many stories from obviously Dad throughout the years, like from basically just putting on him and how they used to train together, particularly him and Kurt Lang the most. Like they were
Wow.
right
Well,
next to
Curtin
each
Lang, I
other,
mean, he
go
was called
running
the
together.
gifted one. He
Yeah,
wasn't called the gifted one for any other reason apart from he was incredibly gifted. He
it-
should have when he beat Roberto Duran.
yeah,
Duran sort of
yeah.
says, "Oh, he was overweight and it was this and that." I think Kirkland Lang at his peak would have given any world champion his problems. He had his own demons and that, but he was a
Yeah,
incredibly talented fighter.
he was special. He really was, and it's funny because of the way funny enough, his jab, and the way he used to like I said, train around Dad. Dad developed his jab from the way Curtin and Lang was, and that's the reason I even have my jab and taught my jab, and it's all stemmed down from Curtin Lang. But yeah, like you said, he was very special. He really was, and pushing all demons aside, he would have put anyone it, through their paces. You know, it's a
Yeah.
shame.
So
It's a shame, really, you
you
know.
started boxing at 8 years old. And
Yeah.
you've actually got a 26-year trail of boxing behind you. So we're going to start working through some of that. So start boxing at 8. Uh, first bit of silverware you won. How old were you?
First what?
Your first bit of silverware, first trophy, first medal.
Well, because obviously we done some exhibitions because I wasn't allowed to obviously legally have my first bout. I think until I was 11. So done some exhibitions here and there up in. The first one was funny enough at the Sound in Leicester Square. So that was a nice way to start, and then went on to just have shows all around the country. My first amateur, I believe, was in Earlsfield. Yeah, it was in Earlsfield, my first amateur, and it was my fifth bout. What is when I won my first London title. So I just kept stemming on from there, in and out. But yeah, the first one was at the Sound. It was a normal exhibition.
Incredible, incredible. So you progressed on from exhibitions, and then you ended up by fighting for England, but you also won London Championships, multiple times. How old were you when you won your first London
Ooh.
Championship?
Well, if that was my first one, it was my fifth fight. Um, and I started officially getting the first time. Yeah, I must have been about, I must have been about 11 something then. Because I got really active well, I've been waiting to box for ages and ages and ages, officially. Um, yeah, so that was the first one. I think it's so many years ago, man. It's quite an easy mistake to make, to be fair. But 11, 12. But like I said, I won it a few times, so I'm sure I got one of the numbers right. Could have been. It could have been bloody 14. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it's a long time ago.
So you're fighting Box for England. Which other people were boxing alongside you at the time?
At that time, there was Bilal Fawaz. I remember on that particular night, it was London versus the last time. London. The last time was England versus Germany. Bilal Fawaz was on the same show as well. I don't remember everyone's name on the actual show that night. Funny enough, they had to remove one of the ABA fights over as well that night as well onto the show from a previous week, because there were so many fights at a previous venue that they couldn't finish up the show, and then they even got put in the same night as our England fight. But it was England versus Germany, Connaught Rooms, and I remember Bilal Fawaz being on the same show. There was Idris as well, I think. I think I don't remember all their names. It's bad, but yeah, that's what I
Amazing.
remember.
I mean, bearing in mind, you used to do the pads with your dad when you was a kid, and you hear all
Mm.
these stories about these great boxers. Your dad must have been extremely proud to see you wearing an England vest.
I like to hope so. Yeah, no, he was, man, definitely. The whole I've always had luckily, like Touchwood, had a strong family circuit, very family orientated. Everyone's always been proud, and whenever we had a fight, you could definitely hear the crowd. They were a bit loud. That's the best way to put it. So yeah, no, they were happy. They were.
So with in terms of your career, it came to an abrupt end. So you boxed until which age before a certain episode happened?
Up until 2014, um, end of 2014. That's when, yeah, that was my last official bout. And basically, might as well go straight into it. It was I was out. I see a fight breaking out. Basically, I tried to be a peacekeeper, and that's cost me my career. I tried breaking up a fight between people. It wasn't enough to do with me at all. I didn't even know the people. And then I've walked and someone just stopped me, and I've hit my head on the pavement. It's cracked my skull. Brains bled at the front, brains bled at the back. Ended up being in hospital. Went into a coma. Um, it was pretty bad. Yeah, man. Got my family were told that, I'm really sorry, but prepare for the worst. We don't think he's gonna make it. And yeah, it was terrible time. It was literally 2 months from when I'm about to turn pro as well, and then it will happen like that. So it was pretty bad.
What out of interest, what was your amateur career record?
I don't remember how many bouts. There's so many bouts. I'll be I'll be lying to you if I told you all the whole numbers. And I was devastated as well, because after the incident, obviously when I got told about not being able to box, I was, I really wanted my medical card. So I went, and apparently the medical card had already been sent back to the boxing board or something, and yeah, that hurt, not being able to get that. So, but there was so many fights I don't remember. Like I said, I was starting at age 8. Even exhibitions went on the card, but all the bats, I can't tell you, Paul. I'll be lying. But there was so many. There really was so many.
Well, listen, you were obviously heartbroken, and
Yeah,
it's put a lump in my throat just listening to the story itself, and the what could have
yeah,
been.
yeah, yeah,
However, I'm a strong believer in life that sometimes when you think that a road has taken you somewhere which you don't want to be, actually it was taking you to somewhere where it wanted you to be. And
yeah,
I've seen you in action, sort of teaching people. I've seen how you are with people. Your people skills is a God-given gift, and I believe that you somehow through what was a terrible twist of fate, you ended up by doing something incredible. So, listen, we're going to talk about sort of the next stage of your life. Um, you ended up by becoming a full-time boxing coach. Now, how long after you recovered did you make the decision that you wanted to get back into boxing and become a full-time coach?
We'll put it this way: when they told me, "Oh, you're not going to be able to box again," I wasn't having none of it really. I was like, "What? There's no way." I went through that whole refusing to accept stage. Like, no way. Like, cause it's been all my life. My whole dream was to become a world champion. I'll be real with you. And then the more and more I had to accept it, it really was heartbreaking. But now over the years of even doing the boxing, I would still be coaching people, still coaching here and there. But I thought there's no way I'm not going to be a part of boxing. So then I had my injury, and about for the next like 6 months after my injury, they still had to make sure everything was okay with the brain and everything. I went through like speech and language therapy and all that, assessments. You had to do like these occupational therapy assessments to make sure I could still work and this stuff like that. They wanted to they were like, oh, do you could be on like disability and claim instead of having to go back to work and stuff like that. I was like, no way. I knew what I wanted to do, and you had all these assessments. Everything was fine. Luckily, just proved everything right. So that took about 6 months. Then got back into work normally, and just done more and more with the started coaching more and more on the side, and that's when I got into. Oh, when did I join? I joined the academy. Yeah,
Let's
within
come on to that in a
within the
second.
year
I'm
after.
going to talk about that in a second. Just to take a little step back. When you were going through like recovery and you're going through occupational therapy and speech and language
Yeah,
therapy, it's one of those moments where you must be thinking, "What the bloody hell is going on here? How did I end up here?"
yeah,
Well, were there any people that were like pivotal to really help? Say, "Come on, pick yourself up here." You're on the canvas, but yeah, you can get up and you can do something incredible here.
yeah. Well, like I said, my family. Luckily, I've always had a really supportive family, especially obviously mum, dad, brother, super supportive. But I literally had the entire family come in and non-stop, just making sure and just give me that support. So I never. The best way to put it, I was never alone. That's the best way to put it. I was always had the support, which I'll be forever grateful for, because without them, I would have been empty inside. It would have felt like I lost a lot more than just boxing. And yeah, like that was a real kick for me to keep going, you know. But nowadays, even biggest kick for me, of course, is got a beautiful 6-year-old daughter, and yeah, she means the world to me as well. So but that's nowadays. But
Amazing,
whereas
amazing.
before
Well,
it
listen,
was,
for the people listening, the first time I met yourself was at an incredible establishment called the Boxing Academy,
yeah,
and I was lucky to have been a small part in the background. I guess in a sort of trustee capacity, as you'd call it, for about a year, and I got to see what you guys are doing. And
yeah.
but I want to ask you, how did you end up by being part of the Boxing Academy?
Basically, from boxing at Fitzroy Lodge, a good friend of mine, Jermaine Williams, he was always telling me, "Calm down, calm down, see the place, calm down, see what you feel, think about it, And I was like, "Yeah, all right." Then I came down, and then I come and I just fell in love with it straight away, seeing the kids, seeing, hearing a lot of the stories, and just seeing what they what what's the best way to put this without going into too much, because you can't go into too much, but just like I said, hearing a lot of their stories, but also the love for boxing is a different place, you know. And yeah, so it came through Jermaine, and then went there, and one thing led to another, and yeah, I've been there ever
I mean,
since.
the just take a step back again. For people who don't know about the boxing academy, it's a
Yeah,
school in Hackney. It's moved
yeah,
recently, and it's probably going to be moving again. It's currently in a temporary premises, but the offering is still the same. And you basically take some of society's um, kids who have had to endure some of the hardest lives from the toughest
yeah,
backgrounds, and you give them hope and opportunities through schooling, where a lot of perhaps establishments might have turned their back on them, and you guys will take them on. And it's actually a small boxing gym set up. It used to be in the absolute depths of the basement at the old place in Hackney, but now
yeah,
it's everything's at one sort of level. But you've got a lovely boxing gym there, and the
yeah,
discipline of boxing obviously has some sort of effect on these kids. I mean, a lot of these kids that come in have any boxed before?
yeah. Ooh, hardly. I mean, a very, very, very low number. If yeah, very low number. So it's a lot of time it's very new to them, and but like I said, it is. It's works so differently at the academy because the discipline of boxing is people don't realize just how powerful it is because on the outside you would hear people saying how oh, you can't teach people boxing, or it's so barbaric, it teaches people how to fight and stuff like that, and we're like, well, clearly you know nothing about boxing because it gives you nothing but focus, it gives you nothing but discipline, it really just it gives you a different aspect in life, and that's the best way for me to put it, you know. And
I
yeah, it
I
cuts
just
out
just
all the
I
bullying,
mean,
that's for sure.
I was there recently, and I was lucky to see you guys in action in the boxing gym. And I think having been sort of lucky over the years to have known a few of the stories of some of the kids and seen the success. Sometimes certain pupils would struggle with the basics, maybe maths and English, and then
Yeah,
over the years that they stay there, will not only sort of master the English language and maths, but we'll also come out with a few GCSEs as well to launch them into the big bad world. But more than
yeah,
anything, they come away with life skills weaved in with all that as well. I guess in terms of schools in general throughout the United Kingdom, do you think that boxing should be brought back into school curriculum, and if so, why?
100%. Going straight back to what I just said, because the discipline it embeds into people, embeds into kids. You know, it's just the focus. Even with all the problems people get like diagnosed with, something like ADHD, for instance. You know, nowadays everyone's getting diagnosed with problems with ADHD, and you have a little boxing session. Well, that helps with all sports. Don't get me wrong. You have a little boxing session. Boom, you've got yourself. You vent yourself. You listen to your coach. Your listening skills improve. Um, like I said earlier on about the bullying, which is a major thing, especially in mainstream schools. Bullying is a big, massive problem. You know, you've got someone in boxing, someone like 10 times your size, someone half their size, being able to throw some shots, making them look like, whoa, what the hell? It just changes their whole mental aspect on things too, you know. But I definitely think it should be in schools, all the schools, definitely.
Coming back to before about your natural people skills and the way I've seen you interact with people, in your coaching role, both inside the academy and outside, you've done everything from teaching professionals to amateurs, and also people with special needs as well.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Boxing's for everyone. That's the best
Yeah,
way to put it.
how
Boxing's
rewarding
for
is it
everyone, isn't
to
it?
if you've got someone who's got a natural talent, great, professional, amateur, whatever. But I guess maybe some of those that are more marginalised in society, have a disability or maybe overweight or something else. Those guys in particular, how much satisfaction do you get when you see them coming in and returning and wanting to glove up and pad up and do a session with you?
it's it might be a bit biased for me because I've been doing it for so long, but it's the best feeling for me. You know, I love it because you see that whole transition from how they were. You see people that start really depressed, really stressed out because they're not coming for to lose weight. Some people are coming for their mental well-being or whatever, or just to join a class or just to have a look. And the next minute, you got 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, okay, twice a week, that constantly coming, and then you see this big change from when they first came and how unhappy they looked or overweight they looked, as opposed to now. You're like, okay, they're buzzing, they're another way of like socializing or networking, increasing their network and losing weight, and you know, shall I say, learn how to box properly. And now they're sparring. Before, a lot of them couldn't think twice about even taking a punch or anything like that. So, and I love it. There's so many things to get into that you can't just pop off your head now to try to explain. But yeah,
No,
it's the best
that's
feeling.
I totally, I can tell the passion and the love you've got for it. Last couple of questions there, random one. So you appeared on Box Nation with Buncey, and you've also been on Sky TV. What was all that about?
Yeah, well, when I boxed for England, that was what came up on. That's when I was on Steve Bunce's, Frank Warren's Box Nation. So it got broadcast on there. It's funny because my name is Yilmaz Mustafa. Not that night, it was Yilmaz Mustafa. So it completely changed my name, but it was all right. It was still good. And yeah, been on the news a couple of times here and there as well. Like David Tay, obviously, he was from Fitzroy Lodge, and he's had his problems in the past with like throwing bottles and all sorts with Derek Chisora, and they came down, interviewed the club, and gave our thoughts on things and how things should be done. And yeah, there's too many cameras to remember, man. There's a lot of things over the years, you know. So, but it's amazing, you know. Manny Pacquiao coming down, meeting him. Even seeing Mayweather, you know, at the York Hall. Shannon Briggs. Shannon Briggs was a funny one it was actually, people might say things about him, but he's actually a funny guy, man. He's a good guy. You wouldn't think people be a bit scared, might be a bit scared to chat to him and stuff like that, but he's so sound and down to earth, his quality, you know. But
Yeah. I think
yeah, man, look.
Vladimir Klitschko might disagree with you, but anyway. Listen,
Maybe him, yeah.
final question. If you could spar 3 rounds with any past or present boxing legend, who would it be?
Oh, mate, this is really tricky. All right, so I would spar with anyone in the world, but right, Muhammad Ali, I do believe is the greatest. I love him. I got a weak spot for Mike Tyson and another weak spot for Roy Jones, but you can't refuse the greatest, can you? Have to be Muhammad Ali. Unless I had 1 round each, I'll do 1 round of my Ali,
I'll give you one
one
round
round of
each.
Tyson, yeah, and then Roy Jones. And if you want, you can throw. You're feeling generous, you can throw Mayweather and Pacquiao in there too, but it's up to you. Yeah, yeah.
That's a hell of a tournament to be in.
That'd have been fun.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, listen, Maz, thank you so much for coming on to Slothbox. Really enjoyed listening to your journey today. Very inspirational. I look forward to coming to the Boxing Academy soon. And if anyone
Mm-hmm.
else is listening and they want to support the Boxing Academy and Maz and Jermaine and the head Anna, if they ever
Anna,
want to sort of go
Anna
down there, I'm
Kenya.
sure, especially if they wanted to do sponsorship support or just do something to see this incredible organization, I strongly recommend that you get in touch with Maz or anyone within your organization.
Absolutely, no, absolutely good. And feel free to come down for a session. You know, I'm everywhere, Paul. Anytime.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Thanks again, Maz. Thank you very
No,
much.
you look after yourself. All right. Take care.